Hello Cedar Valley, welcome to the newest edition of the Arts Overlook. I'm your host, Ian Goldsmith. Each episode we cover unique arts and entertainment stories that are happening around the Cedar Valley. In this edition, we recap two recent events, the College Hill Arts Festival and At the Park. We also sat down with two local bands, Whiskey and Woe and Minitallica. Don't change the channel, Arts Overlook starts now.
Art is thriving in the Cedar Valley. It's everywhere. But if you don't know where to look, you could miss it. This is your local arts perspective. This is the Arts Overlook.
We here at the Arts Overlook have been looking forward to the College Hill Arts Festival for quite some time. It only seems appropriate that Arts Overlook recaps one of the most art-filled events of the summer. Let's take a look. The 35th Annual College Hill Arts Festival took place this year on Friday, June 14th and Saturday, June 15th. Each year, this festival is held on the campus of the University of Northern Iowa, on the corner of 23rd Street and College Street. Kids and adults alike attended this completely free festival to enjoy art and many other attractions. Each year, the festival's committee presents the Founders Award, named after College Hill Arts Festival founder Hugh Pedersen, who started this festival in 1979. We caught up with the winning artist of this year's Founders Award, Jan Friedman.
I won a Founders Award here for the College Hill Arts Festival, and someone today asked me how long I've been doing this show, and I think over 20 years. I mean, I've been weaving for 39, and so it's such a treat that they gave me this award because I guess I'm an old timer. I was a junior in college when I took my first in art. And I took my first weaving course a junior in college, and it just sort of like said, you know, this is my medium. I knew right away. I'm a weaver, like I said, and I weave both scarves. I do a lot of scarves, but I do tapestries, and I also do fiber collages.
There is indeed more to look at than just one or two images at the festival. 75 artists from around the country, including 25 new artists this year, displayed their wondrous works for Cedar Falls residents. With this type of artist diversity, there's no doubt that there's something for everyone attending the festival. Price ranges accommodate all art goers, whether you are a serious art collector or just someone like me who enjoys the view. The plethora of art ranged from paintings to sculptures to ceramics to metalworks to glass and more. To maintain this variety of art at the festival brings in several artists from around the country. This year, artists were represented from over 16 states. Many of these artists like to return year after year. What is it about the College Hill Arts Festival that continually draws these artists back?
This show is an incredible show. They treat the artists incredibly well, and it's been consistently a good show for me. The quality is very high for this show, and they've kept that up over the years. And as I said before, I think of the different shows that I've gone to, they treat the artists extremely well. They value us. We're not just a part of the whole scene. We're really the main function, and we appreciate that.
It is a great thing for both the traveling artists and the residents of Cedar Falls to have a festival that centers around artists and the art that they produce. However, works of art aren't the only thing that make this festival special. For example, each year, festival goers are entertained by various groups of wonderful performing musical artists who grace the festival stage for the free enjoyment of those listening. But perhaps one of the most popular attractions at the festival is the Young Art Collectors Gallery. Here, kids can browse through original pieces donated by traveling artists. The number one rule of the gallery? No grown-ups allowed. Only youth 14 and under are allowed inside the gallery. Once inside, they have the opportunity to purchase art, all priced at $10 or less. But what is the favorite part of the festival for the artists that are featured?
Favorite part? Well, seeing old friends. I mean, I know these people so well. I mean, I know the original founders of the show, and I know the current, heads of the show, and they're just wonderful people. And I'm always amazed with how many volunteer hours that go into something like this, and so many people are helpful. It's really wonderful.
I think artists and art goers alike can all agree this year was no exception in being yet another wonderful College Hill Arts Festival. Congratulations to the College Hill Arts Festival on their continued success. Next on Arts Overlook, we attended another annual event, At the Park. As the name implies, this free event was held at Overlook Park and centers around family fun, which includes music, bouncy houses, and more, as well as raising money for charity. Mike Mennan has the story.
Coming out to the 3rd annual At the Park. Really appreciate all the support. I can see there's a lot of familiar faces, a lot of new faces. We're really glad that everybody's here. It's family fun, it's live music, and it's charitable spirit. And if you've been here, you can tell that there's lots of family fun going on. And unless you just got here, there's been a lot of awesome live music. So let's hear it for some of that.
At the Park is a one-day event that features live music from local and well-named artists within a family atmosphere of fun. In addition to great music, their live event featured entertainment that has favorites for any child, from bouncy houses to face painting, and juggling acts.
This is the 3rd year of At the Park. My wife and I come down and juggle at it every year. It's a great time. Years ago I lived in San Francisco and it was kind of my work break. A lot of street performers out there, so I was street performing out there, and come back to Iowa, there's not that many jugglers. It's kind of unique. I'm the Dean of Juggling, they call it. I teach up at UNI in the math department. I'll never be the Dean of Mathematics, so Dean of Juggling.
There's no shortage of fun for everyone. And the best part is that At the Park is always free. At the Park chose the Northeast Iowa Food Bank as their selected charity for this year's event. The Northeast Iowa's Food Bank had a booth at the event where you could donate non-perishable food items and or tax-deductible dollars to help feed hungry people in Cedar Valley. And best of all, 100% of your donation goes to support the food bank and its mission. At the Park does not receive any donated funds. Every dollar donated provides 5 meals to people in need. So what makes At the Park different than your average community event? Well, a few things. First, they don't separate the music in the kids areas with fences or caution tape. They keep everything close together so that kids and parents alike can enjoy their time all the time. Second, there is no charge admission for any of the entertainment. Your kids will not have to bug you about tickets or wristbands or extra money to get their faces painted. And finally, At the Park always focuses on the charitable spirit. Helping others is one of their core missions, and they select local vendors who share that passion by donating 10% of their proceeds to the charity selected for the event. It's a win-win. Now make sure you mark your calendar for next year's event, because after I talked to Rod, he said the event was going to get bigger and better. And remember, it is free. At the Park, here in Overlook Park, Cedar Falls, Iowa. Bring the whole family down.
Come back next year.
No matter what age you are, free family fun is hard to beat. Shifting gears, Arts Overlook recently attended the music festival Cornstalk, held at Spicoli's Bar and Grill. At this festival, our ears feasted on a smorgasbord of music, ranging from hip-hop to techno to country to rock and roll. We caught up with one of the bands that is truly bringing their own unique sound to the stage, a genre self-described as punkgrass, a mixture of rock, country, punk, and bluegrass. I present to you Whiskey and Woe.
First song is called Let's Dance.
That is Whiskey and Woe, a local band whose music stays true to its outlaw nature. And when playing to crowds, they intend to get people dancing, along with telling a beautiful narrative with their heartfelt songs. This band would have never happened if it wasn't from an unfortunate car accident. But you know what they say, when one door closes, another one opens. Now let's take a look at Whiskey and Woe.
Singer, guitar player was in the car with him, and they hit a tree, and Jay broke his neck. So Jay spent months and months and months unable to do anything at all except sit with this neck brace on, you know. And So he decided he'd pick up guitar. I think he actually already owned one and was trying to learn anyways, but at this point he had nothing else to do. So he'd sit with this thing on and, you know, he'd play and he'd look at his chords like this, you know, and he picked it up really fast because he basically had nothing else to do. And I used to just go over there and jam with him for fun and hang out, you know. Just was playing and playing and playing and got really good. And I was joking around with him one day because he played a lot of country music. I said, well, we should just start an outlaw country band. And he said, yeah, we could do that. And I think Mike Howe, our washboard player, was there at the time, and he wanted to get in on it. And I said, sure. Well, I know a drummer from playing in lots of other bands. He was friends with all, you know, Jay and Mike too. And so we called Willie up, and he said he wanted to do it. So then we were looking, you know, for. We knew a couple people that could sing. You know, it just kind of all came together from there, just because Jay had nothing else to do but sit around and play his guitar all the time.
We all decided, let's start an outlaw country band. And at first we were like, yeah, maybe, whatever. And once we got going with it, and once we got into certain songs that we decided to play, it was a lot of fun. And we just kept going with it, and here we are, like a year later now.
Well, Whiskey and Woe got started basically as a bunch of friends that loved to play hard rock music, but also had a love for country and more of the outlaw country aspects like Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, George Jones, Willie Nelson. And just the love for that type of music is basically what got Whiskey and Woe going. And also, like, there's, you know, Hank Williams, Hank Williams Jr., you know, those artists that had this this kind of rebel mentality to it. And coming from, like, everyone coming from more of a metal background, a hard rock background, it just seemed to be apt to apply to outlaw country.
We just all have the roots of that. Our parents, Jason's parents, play in a bluegrass band, and I grew up listening to that, so that's kind of what we decided to do. Metal wasn't paying the bills anymore.
Whiskey and Woe, it's basically what we try to do is bring in like an eclectic form of music, a lot of bluegrass, outlaw, even some modern country. We've also thrown in some punk music. We just try and take songs that we think we can create our own sound with, but still having, you know, everyone still knows what the music is. It's just with our sound, which is different style than, you know, I can't even really put a genre to what we do besides outlaw bluegrass or something, you know.
We have kind of this bluegrassy sound, except we have a drummer, which isn't real typical in bluegrass. We also have, you know, like some folk music influences, and then, you know, we're all metalheads and punk rockers too. So, you know, we do Cowboys from Hell by Pantera, and we do a bunch of Rancid tunes and Bad Religion. So we do a lot of different stuff. And then we even do, like, we do some Pearl Jam and stuff like that. Anything we do, though, we folk it up. We add the, you know, folk bluegrass element to it, so it sounds like a Whiskey and Woe tune.
That we have that's unique is the ability to kind of cycle in different instruments into one set, to one show. And then we tend to, you know, I play the upright bass, and I play in a very, like, classical country / bluegrass style. And we have, you know, our washboard player who also does backup, and that's one thing that a lot of bands don't have, is that custom percussion. So I think that would make us pretty unique in that area.
Jason, the mandolin player, he's, like I said, he's been playing for a long, long time, and
Shreds it. He's the metal mandolin player. It's like a never-ending solo.
he's really into the music scene more than anyone else I know. The thing is, he's also right now currently getting his PhD in sociology. So I mean, he's got a lot on his plate, but he still finds time to jam with us. And
Jay just kind of writes like a rhythm guitar part, and we all just follow along. And Jason D, stand-up bass player. What else can you say about that? And
that was kind of a different situation there. Our drummer Will had met him years ago while he was in a different band, and it just so happened at the time we were looking for a bass player, and they got to talking one night, and so within a week or so Jason came over to try out with me at my house just to see, you know, how well he would do and how well, you know, he would mesh in with what we were doing. And he picked right up on it, and next thing you know, it was 3 months later, he was buying an upright bass. You know, I was like, all right, cool, we got a good bass player here.
And Mike, the washboard player, just shreds the washboard, and I just play the drums and try to keep up.
Willie D. Oh, Will. He's, you know, I've known Will since probably 3rd or 4th grade, and you know, ever since I've known him, he's been into the music, and you know, he's been in and out of a lot of bands. Most of them are like the metal thrash bands and stuff like that. And with Will and his experience, he's able to bring the drums in and without a hitch, and it's great. Plus, you know, he's another backbone for me because we're so close and friends, and he's so seasoned, if you will, in the music scene and with bands and stuff. So he helps out a lot. That's Dutch. That is Jason, our mandolin player's uncle. He can play just about anything. He's really good with the piano, really good with the harps. He's got the maracas and stuff, and he brings an extra flavor, if you will, to the band. Plus, you know, we're all young lads, so we had to get an old guy up there just to even it out a little bit. But he does well, and you know, a lot of times he gets everyone dancing too, you know, because he's got some of the simpler instruments to play, and he doesn't necessarily need to be plugged in all the time. So he'll get out and dance with the girls and whoever else, and just keep going. You know, it makes it a lot better when you get the crowd going and involved with everything you're doing. It really makes them focus on you. So it's pretty cool.
But we're trying to work our way up and get into the bigger venues around Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, like all our surrounding states, Missouri and Illinois and Nebraska. So we want to move out, kind of branch out into that stuff. But you know, it's all taking time.
I would say you're in for a treat. You're in for music that if you're not a bluegrass or country fan, you're going to come away a fan. You're going to become a fan of Whiskey and Woe because we bring a lot to you. We're going to play a song that or a way that you've never heard. You know, you'll want to hear Pink Floyd, and all of a sudden you'll hear it bluegrass style. And then we'll mix in our own originals that will have something important to say and something that they can relate to. So a lot of people that have never seen us walk away fans, and a lot of times they're fans of different genres of music.
Yeah, we like to call it punk grass. So there's a lot of other bands that are kind of doing it these days, and it seems to be up and coming type of music, and we just like to do it. It's fun.
Whiskey and Woe wasn't the only band that night to grace the Cornstalk stage. Wallace Spicoli's, a familiar metal rock sound caught our ears. As we ventured outside to see what band was thrashing guitars, we couldn't believe how such a big sound could come from such small fingers. I present to you Minitallica.
I'm 11 years old. I am 11. I'm 10. I am 12. Well, almost 12, pretty much.
Their name is Minitallica, and while they may be young, we found out firsthand that they sure know how to rock. You might be wondering, how did a group of people this young become a band?
I bought Jeffrey his first drum set when he was a year old. A year later for Christmas, I got him and AJ their first guitars. And they really just still, you know, they would hook it up. Jeffy would get on his drum set a lot of times and just bang on it. And
my first drum set was pretty small, but I had to go like this.
AJ would just, you know, bang on his guitar.
I got my first guitar when I was 2, but I really started playing about 4 to 5 years ago.
And then Jeffrey, when he was 3, started taking drum lessons, and I started teaching AJ kind of things here and there. The first stuff they really learned was the Black Sabbath stuff.
First it started with me and my cousin, me and him just learned Iron Man. I don't know, when we were about 3 or 4.
I think they played a gig all by themselves for Spicoli's or something like that. Just the two of them doing the, you could recognize the tunes because it was just the guitar and the drums. There were no vocals or anything like that. But anyways, I was booking a show for Whiskey and Woe at this new venue in Waterloo, and Susie Carnes showed up.
My mom was booking a show for my dad's band, and I was with my mom, and then Jason saw my long hair and he asked if I played an instrument.
He said no, but he sings with my husband sometimes, and he invited him to come over and practice with the guys. He told me about Minitallica, that he was trying to get it started.
He asked him if he wanted to be in our band, and he said sure, so that's how we got him. We played a few shows after that.
That next maybe February or so, he started teaching Caden the guitar and found out he was really good at that too.
Then they went without a bass player for a while. They had a kid that would come and do a couple of shows, like one or two songs here and there. But then I was looking online on Facebook one day, just scrolling through things, and I seen a video of this kid playing at Jameson's in Waterloo with his dad, and he was playing bass.
I was playing at acoustic guitar night, which is really fun. It's where we sit in a big circle and everyone plays a song that they want to do, and I play with my dad.
I was like, I left a message, why is this bass player not playing in Minitallica? Because he was good, and I could tell.
And I was like, yeah, sure. And I thought I was actually playing guitar, but then my dad told me they want you for bass, and I said, oh, okay.
And with that, the Minitallica of today was formed. From what we could tell at Cornstalk, these young rockers do have talent. But as with anything, talent means nothing without hard work.
We practice probably once, well, twice, 3 times maybe a week.
Now that it's summer, we'll probably have a lot more practice time. And we practice for like 5 hours.
When Jason would teach them songs, he would water it down a little bit, not all of the songs, but on a couple of them. And now they're learning exactly everything the way it's supposed to be played. And I just want to show that they're not just cute kids that learned a little guitar, because they're really talented musicians.
Some practices we get into fights and we don't remember stuff.
They get hard on themselves sometimes. They'll be really upset if they make a mistake. But
you're gonna have fights. It's not gonna be all happy, jolly people.
We get in fights a lot, and we forget stuff, and then we get mad at each other.
In adult bands, they have enough issues, trying to come together. But kids, kids are, well, they're kids, and you can tell that in practices.
But a lot of times we just play through it, we're good, and then we go on to the next song.
Yeah, I think we fight a lot, but it's worth it.
All that practice pays off for the band as they get to take their talents to the stage.
It's really fun to play shows.
When I book shows, it depends on the venue. If they've heard of them before, it's a lot easier for me. It's actually not very hard at all if they've already heard of them, because once people hear them, they usually want them to play at their venue. They play outside shows as much as possible. I try not to put them in a lot of bars, they're kids, but there's some that is perfectly fine and the show makes sense, so I'll put them on it. Spicoli's is where they got their start, so we always go back to play Spicoli's. Other towns, they've played in Independence quite a bit. They played in Old Wine.
I think the certain show that we played in Old Wine, it was fun, and all the kids that were our age sat up front. They had their own VIP. They had their own VIP table, and we locked Caden in the trailer for all of our equipment.
When we opened for Hairball, we were in the middle of playing a song, and Jeffrey, the drummer, he lost a tooth.
No way.
Yeah, we were just playing, and he stopped, and we all looked back at him, and we were like, what happened? And he was like, my tooth came out.
And they opened for Saliva. That was awesome.
There was a show on Saliva, we played with Saliva at the Marion Airport, and there was over 3,000 people there.
But I'd really like to get them breaking out into other states and everything by next summer.
It's like a two-way street, I guess. I'm super, super proud of the boys, but they get way better gigs than we do. And way better reaction from the crowd most of the time. So sometimes there's a little jealousy that goes into it. Not really, but you know, it is interesting to see them do really well, really fast.
My teachers, my parents, my friends and all that, they think that I'm inspiring because I play music, and they never actually tried.
A lot of them think it's pretty cool because I've been on the radio a lot, and like I'd go to school and they'd be like, "Hey dude, I saw you on the radio."
My best friend, once I told him that, he didn't believe me until I showed him a video on YouTube of us, and he was just amazed.
Somebody just said this the other day, they called me Minitallica, and I thought that was hilarious. And I kind of feel like with all the boys, you know, I spend a lot of time with them, so it's not just Caden that I'm looking out for. The girls, it worries me, I'm not gonna lie. Already, I mean, 10 and 11 years old, and I've already noticed a big difference from last summer with the little girls. So I think that's gonna be my challenge as the mom of a rock star.
All in all, they never forget that it's all about the love for music.
One of the best compliments I might have ever gotten was somebody came over to me once and said that they'd been listening, kind of having a conversation. It was out at my Waterloo days, and they'd been having a conversation with people, whatever, not really exactly paying attention to the band that was on stage, but hearing it in the background and being impressed by it, and then all of a sudden realizing that they were kids. And they came over to me there and said, I didn't even realize that they were kids. I heard the music, and I thought it was a good band, and then I paid closer attention. I'm like, oh my gosh, these are children. And they just thought that they were adults.
Jeffy, the drummer, he's like chin down to hear good.
And that's the point I try to get across to people. They're just going to be blown away by them. And their stage presence is awesome. And I don't know what it would take to make Caden really nervous, because he doesn't really know how to be nervous. He loves to be on stage.
I like it because when I go to shows, I just get a good feeling when I go up there and a bunch of people are cheering for me. It's really fun.
In all seriousness, I'm super proud of them. I couldn't imagine it going any better, but it just seems like they just keep going and going and going, and new things come up, and so good for them. I hope that they, no matter what they do with their music, if they do something for a livelihood with their music, or if it's just a hobby their whole life, I think it's good for them. It's a good outlet.
Well, it's really fun, and when I'm mad, I just go play my guitar and it calms me down, and it's just like the best part of my life, really.
I enjoy music because it just lets me you're all sad and mopey, and it just lets you be yourself and stuff.
Right now, I know they have 16 shows booked out into the future through January 1st. I think 13 of those are before Labor Day weekend.
If you want to see this amazing band of kids live, learn more about their upcoming shows or about booking the band by contacting Susie Carnes. You can reach her at susie.carnes@yahoo.com. Don't miss the future of rock and roll.
We are Minitallica! Thank you!
Well, that just goes to show that rock and roll is a language that people of any age can understand. That's all we have for you on this episode of the Arts Overlook. I'm Ian Goldsmith. Until next time, thanks for watching.